First at 9 this Saturday, the 25th of October 2025. Cats and dogs. 5,579 families in 17 districts affected by the heavy deluge, says the Disaster Management Center. The National Building Research Organization issues landslide warnings to 10 districts, cautions residents to remain on alert. Power problems. Tensions spark as Cope summons privately held LTL holdings to further CEB investigations. Minister of Power at loggerheads with the Power Ministry's secretary over the extension of an appointment. Looming threats. SJB MP calls for disciplinary action against ignored death threat alert against MP Jagat Vithana. Another Pradesh Sabha chairman attacked and hospitalized. The nosedive. Sri Lankan Airlines reports a group loss of 2.73 billion rupees.
Homelands Expo 2025 Property Investment Forum and Exhibition. Join us on 11th October, Hilton, Colombo, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 0710 111 444.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on the Derana News channel. I'm Aditya Singha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world, brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms, recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now, in your top story tonight, as heavy downpours continue unabated, the Disaster Management Center reports that over 22,000 people in 17 districts remain affected by the prevailing adverse weather conditions. Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology indicates that the low-pressure system currently affecting the region is expected to intensify into a deep depression by tomorrow and further develop into a cyclone within the next 48 hours. The department also forecasts widespread rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters across several parts of the country tomorrow.
Sri Lanka has been experiencing incessant rains over the past several days, with 18 districts already bearing the brunt of adverse weather patterns. The Department of Meteorology forecasts that the heavy rainfall is attributed to the intensification of a low-pressure system in the southeastern Bay of Bengal, situated to the northeast of the island. As of 5 a.m. today, the system was positioned approximately 850 kilometers away from Batticaloa. The department further forecasts that it is likely to strengthen into a deep depression by tomorrow and subsequently develop into a cyclone within the next 48 hours. The heavy downpours which lashed across the country resulted in the continuous opening of spill gates of several reservoirs, including Rajanganaya, Kalavawa, Angamu and Alikota Ara. Owing to the rising water levels of the river Kalu, the irrigation department urged residents of Ratnapura, Magura and Millakanda to remain vigilant over potential floods. In the Kaluthara district, the torrential rains submerged low-lying areas in Horana and inundated vast stretches of paddy fields cultivated this season. Meanwhile, Galle district continued to experience heavy rainfall throughout the day. In Puttalam, approximately 300 acres of paddy fields in Mahamelia remained submerged for nearly 5 days due to the overflow of the Arachikatua Ratambala reservoir following the adverse weather patterns. The Disaster Management Center notes that 22,620 persons of 5,579 families in 17 districts remain affected due to the persistent weather patterns.
As of now, the adverse weather has claimed the lives of 4 people. 628 houses have been partially damaged. Around 30 people have been temporarily relocated to a relief center in the Colombo district.
Against this backdrop, the National Building Research Organization issued landslide warnings to 10 districts, cautioning residents of nearby areas to remain on alert. The Meteorological Department forecasts that rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters is likely tomorrow in the western Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern, northern and north-central provinces, as well as in the Galle, Matara and Trincomalee districts. Accordingly, fishing and naval communities have been advised to refrain from venturing into shallow sea areas, extending from Santurai to Batticaloa via Trincomalee due to the developing low-pressure system over the Bay of Bengal.
යාඩියා T5 ස්කූටරයක් සමග අඟල් 32 LED TV එකක් නොමිලේ.
The World Education Fair 2025 entrance free. Register now.
Now in other news, Minister of Power and Energy Kumara Jayakodi revoked a decision by the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy to extend the appointment of the Director General of the Power Sector Reform Secretariat. Issuing a letter in this regard, Minister Kumara Jayakodi asserts that the Secretary to the Ministry of Power has overreached and assumed powers vested in the minister by the Sri Lanka Electricity Act.
On the 15th of October, Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy Udayanga Hemapala extended by a year the tenure of H.P. Niroshan, who served as the Director General of the Power Sector Reform Secretariat. The relevant letter sanctioning the extension was issued while Minister of Power and Energy Kumara Jayakodi was overseas. The letter issued by the Secretariat intimated the Minister's approval to extend H.P. Niroshan's tenure as Director General of the Power Sector Reform Secretariat from the 16th October 2025 to the 26th of June 2026. In a startling turn of events, the Minister of Power and Energy has subsequently directed the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy to withdraw with immediate effect any and all actions taken to extend the appointment of H.P. Niroshan as the Director General of the Power Sector Reform Secretariat. The letter issued by the Minister to that end, dated the 22nd of October 2025, notes that the Sri Lanka Electricity Act empowers the Minister to appoint the Director General of the Power Sector Reform Secretariat. Disparaging the assertions made by the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy as a gross misrepresentation, the Minister went on to deny the granting of any approval of service extension as such. Mentioned in the Secretary's letter, the Minister of Energy strongly asserts that the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy has overreached and assumed powers vested in the Minister by the Sri Lanka Electricity Act. Through the letter, the Minister drew the Secretary's attention to delicate negotiations underway with employee unions of the CEB with regard to the restructuring process. Minister Jayakodi claims that the unions have so far reciprocated the good faith the government has shown towards them and calls for all officers to act in good faith within their legal scope.
The suspension of the Director General from office as instructed by the Minister is a win for the CEB, since the DG in question was attempting to restructure the CEB ineffectively. However, we urge the Minister to not take this opportunity to turn things from bad to worse.
Now on the theme of power and energy, the Committee on Public Enterprises summoned the privately held Lanka Transformers Limited to further investigations into the Ceylon Electricity Board. During the committee hearing, tensions flared when SJB parliamentarian Chaminda Vijayasiri objected to the Committee on Public Enterprises summoning a privately held company.
අපි අද දවසේ විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයේ ඒ පරීක්ෂණයේ කටයුතු අවසන් කර ගැනීම ඉලක්කයට අදාළව තමයි ඔබ කැඳෙව්වේ.
96 වෙනකොට එතකොට ඔබතුමත් ඩිරෙක්ටර් කෙනෙක්ද?
මට මතක නෑ.
Mr. Nauman, what point you joined to this company?
I joined in 1997.
1997?
Yeah.
97 එතකොට ඔබතුමාට මේක හම්බුනේ නැද්ද මේ ෂෙයා එක තිබ්බේ නැද්ද?
97 ෂෙයා එක තිබුණා.
හරි තිබුණා. ඒතර ඔබතුමා CB එකේ මොකක් හරි තනතුරක් දරුවද ඊට කලින්?
CB එකෙන් රිසයින් වෙලා ආවේ.
කවද රිසයින් වුනේ?
97 96 වගේ.
You joined on 1997?
97.
Yeah, 97.
අතර කම්පැනි ෆෝම් කරන වෙලාවේ ඔබතුමා නෑ නේද?
Sorry, I had joined on 95.
Okay, your company was...
ඔබතුමා දන්නේ නැතුව අනිත් අය කොහොමද දන්නේ? මේක ජෝක් එකක් කරගන්න නම් බෑ. අදාළ නිලධාරීන්ට සියලු දෙනාටම කියන්න. මේක පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කෝප් කමිටුව. මේක ජෝක් එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක හරියට මතක තියාගෙන වැඩ කරමු. ඔබතුමා දන්නේ නැහැ ඔබතුමා ජොයින් උනේ කවුද කියලා අනිත් අය තමයි ඒක මතක තියාගෙන එහෙම බෑ. ඒක ඒතකොට මොකද්ද? මේක ඍජුව මේ කෝප් කමිටුව අපහසුතාවයට පත් කිරීම අපහසුයට ලක් කිරීමක් ලෙස සැලකනවා.
අපි සාවර නියෝග අනුව මේ හෝල්ඩින්ග්ස් කියන පෞද්ගලික සමාගම විගණනාධිපතිවරයා විගණනයට ලක් කරනවද? පාර්ලිමේන්තුව අද මේ කාරක සභාවේ මේ පොදු ව්‍යාපාර කාරක සභාවේ මේ නීත්‍යානුකූලවද මේ පෞද්ගලික සමාගම ප්‍රශ්න කරන්න කියන කාරණේ පිළිබඳව මම මේ සාවර නියෝග කියවලා මේ ආයතන කීපයක් තිබේ.
ඔබතුමා මුලදී සම්බන්ධ වීම නිසා තමයි
උදේ පාන්දර ඇවිල්ලි වල මේක වාඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඔබතුමා මැදින් පැල්ලි වල මේක කරන්න බෑ. මේක අල්ල කරන්න එපා ඔබතුමා.
මට මේකටම එන්නේ කියලා නෑ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ආපු වෙලාවේ මට ඒක පාදිලි කරගෙන වා සභාපති නෙවෙයිනේ. වා සභාපති නෙවෙයිනේ. වා සභාපති වෙන්න යන්න එපා. වා සභාපති වෙන්න යන්න එපා.
නෑ ඉන්න ඔබතුමා.
සභාපති කියන්නකෝ. මන්ත්‍රීතුමා කියන්න ඕනේ නෑ. මම සභාපතිතුමා නෙවෙයි.
දැන් හරිද?
ඔව් දැන් හරි.
හරි එහෙනම් ඔහොම තියන්නකෝ. මං කියන්න. මේ ආයතනයේ ගෙනාපු විදියත් ගෙනාව තියෙන ඌමනාවත් සියල්ල පැහැදිලි කරා. මේ ආයතනය ගෙන්නෙව්වේ CB එකේ පරීක්ෂණය සම්පූර්ණ කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කරුණු ගොනු කරගන්න.
ශමින්ද මන්තුමාට අයිතිය තියෙනවා ඇවිල්ලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න. ඒකට අපි മന്ത്രിවරුන්ට අපිට උත්තර දෙන්න අයිතියක් නැහැ. ඒකේ උත්තර දෙන්න අයිතිය තියෙන්නේ සභාපතිතුමාට.
කලින් පැහැදිලි කිරීම කළා තිබුණ ඔබ සියලු දෙනාට.
That you can explain that.
ඔය ඒක තමයි.
Not another member. So ඒක සභාපතිතුමාට දාන්නේ.
මෙතනින් ඉවර කරගමු.
Now in other news, Samaga Janabalawege MP Ajit P. Pereira calls for disciplinary action against the police officers who failed to inform MP Jagat Vithana of the death threats made against him despite being aware of such threats in advance. Pereira further notes that the police had knowledge of the threats for nearly a month, yet no action had been taken to ensure the MP's safety.
Samaga Janabalawege parliamentarian Jagat Vithana revealed in Parliament yesterday that the Inspector General of Police had issued a directive to the Kalathara DIG instructing him to launch an investigation into information suggesting a plot to murder him. The MP tabled the letter in Parliament, which had been directed to the DIGs in charge of the Western Province on September 17. The correspondence reportedly contains details of individuals whose lives are under threat due to the activities of organised criminal networks and drug trafficking operations in the Western Province. It also refers to death threats made against 25 individuals, including MP Jagat Vithana, and outlines the steps to be taken in response. According to the letter, the MP has received credible information of a life-threatening warning indicating that he could be shot either at his residence or while travelling. In light of these developments, MP Jagat Vithana held a press conference yesterday afternoon where he disclosed details of a recent incident in which a suspicious group had arrived at his home and inquired about him.
A few days ago, some young men arrived at my house by a three-wheeler. They had inquired about me from our housemaid. They had questioned my whereabouts, whether I have any security personnel with me, and if I owned any firearms. They had left the place thereafter.
CCTV footage of the alleged incident has also been obtained.
Upon hearing this, I asked my son to lodge a complaint with the police. About an hour later, a person identifying himself as IP Atula contacted me. He admitted to being one of the individuals who had visited my home earlier that day and claimed he was a police officer. I then inquired why they were in civil attire and why they had failed to identify themselves to the maid. The three-wheeler they arrived in didn't contain any police insignia. He later claimed that they were acting under instructions of the IGP. Once I refused to accept his statement, he forwarded me a copy of the IGP's letter. Upon reading it, I was shocked. I had no idea that there was such a serious threat to my life. I had been moving about freely, completely unaware of the situation, and at no point was I advised to relocate or take any additional precautions despite the gravity of the threat.
Meanwhile, Samaga Janabalawege MP Ajit P. Pereira stated that disciplinary action should be taken against the police officers concerned for failing to alert the MP about the threat to his life.
The letter clearly indicates that the lives of some individuals are under serious threat. This was determined through a thorough investigation launched by the police department. Upon confirming this information, the police failed to provide adequate security or protection to ensure the safety of MP Jagat Vithana. At the very least, they should have personally informed him about the gravity of the threat. They neglected even this basic responsibility. It now appears as though the government is pursuing a policy of silencing those who hold dissenting views. The Police Commission and the Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs must initiate disciplinary action against the officers who neglected their duty to inform MP Vithana the seriousness of this situation. If any harm befalls Jagat Vithana or his family, the incumbent government must bear full responsibility.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Chairman of the Baddegama Pradeshya Sabha, Samansi Liyanage, has reportedly been hospitalized following an attack by unidentified assailants. The incident occurred yesterday afternoon when the Deputy Chairman was returning home with his wife and was confronted by a group of men who blocked the road. Liyanage is currently receiving treatment at the Gaul National Hospital and has filed a complaint with the police regarding the attack.
Veligama Pradeshya Sabha chairman's murder and threats made against MP Jagat Vithana claimed the spotlight of political attention today.
It is clear that from the J.R. Jayawardena era through to the Rajapaksa administration, political links with underworld elements became increasingly prevalent. Even in our district, the chairmanship of the Rajagama Pradeshya Sabha is often determined with the backing of such networks. Those who were recently killed also had ties to these groups and had faced various allegations at the time of submitting their nominations.
විශේෂයෙන්ම චෝදනා රාශියක් තියෙද්දි තමයි මේ නාම යෝජනා දීලා තියෙන්නේ.
මියගිය ඒ මහජන යෝජිතයන්ගේ ගෙවල් වල මිනිස්සු.
The family of the late Waligama Pradesh Sabha chairman now faces public ridicule and insults. It is unacceptable that the chairman was killed simply because the NPP failed to secure the Pradesh Sabha's chairmanship. Equally, it is unfair for the public to attempt to justify his murder solely based on his alleged connections to the underworld. In the case of MP Jagat Vithana, the police should have alerted him in advance if his life was actually under threat. He further stated that they intend to submit a no-confidence motion against the defence minister in the coming days.
විරුද්ධව අපි පැහැදිලිව විශ්වාස මංගයක් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ගේන්න ඕන.
කාටරගේ ආරක්ෂාව පිළිබඳ තර්ජනයක් තියෙනවා නම්
If a person's life is under threat, they have the right to lodge a complaint with the police. Based on the information received, the police will determine whether to provide necessary security for those individuals. It is the government's responsibility to bolster the safety of the general public, and this protection should be extended to all individuals regardless of their position or portfolio.
ඒක නිසා ඒකට සියලු ජනතාව එකට ඇතුළත් වෙන්න ඕන කියන දේ තමයි අපි විශ්වාස කරන්නේ.
කවුරු මොනවා කිව්වත් මෙයා
Regardless of anyone's comments, this incident has a detrimental impact on public security in the country. When a government fails to guarantee public safety, it is clear that national security is also compromised. Although the government refuses to take responsibility, such incidents clearly highlight its inefficiency.
රජය පිළිබඳ නොහැකියාවේ සිදුවීමක් තමයි සිදු වෙන්නේ.
බලය හොබවපු දේශපාලන කණ්ඩායම් අද විපක්ෂයේ ඉන්නේ. ඒ ගොල්ලෝ බලයේ ඉන්න කාලේ
Those who previously held power are now in the opposition, yet the country is bearing the consequences of their past actions. We believe that the late Waligama Pradesh Sabha chairman was killed as a result of internal disputes within those parties. As the government, it is our duty to ensure that the perpetrators are punished and brought to justice.
ඒ අයලට අදාළ කරන නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන එක.
මේ රටේ ආරක්ෂාව ඉල්ලන
The government has an obligation to provide protection to those who require it. It cannot offer excuses for failing to ensure adequate security, as that is not how a responsible government should operate.
උත්තරයක් ලබා දීම රජයක වගකීමක් නෙවෙයි.
Do what you do, let the world look up to you. Shoot what you see, be who you wanna be. Search with a smile, create your own style. Gemini Live, make moments come alive. Be anywhere, rock anytime. With awesome AI by your side. Be anywhere, rock anytime. Be brilliant, be always intelligent. Download fast, stream it all night. One tap, move, everything feel right. Snap it clean, edit like a pro. Smarter with Gemini, let the magic flow.
Introducing Samsung Galaxy A17 5G. The power to be always intelligent.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa asserts that the government's incompetence has propelled the recent spate of murders and rampant criminal activity. While addressing a gathering today, the opposition leader accused the government of not having a definite strategy in place to confront the surge in crime.
A promotional event for the Samagijana Balavega was held today at Valigipola Rakwana under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
මොකද්ද සමාජයේ සිද්ධ වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ? සමාජයේ ම්ලේච්ඡත්වය රජ කර.
What has happened to our society today? Malevolence runs rampant. A culture of murder has gripped the country. A Pradesh Sabha chairman cannot hold a public day. The administration of justice cannot occur unimpeded. People are being brutally murdered. The government has no strategy in place to tackle this spate of murders. Through its incompetence and ineffectivity, the government has opened the gates for extortionists, murderers, thieves and robbers to devastate the country. If a Pradesh Sabha chairman is gunned down on his public day, how can parliamentarians and local government councillors go about executing their duties to the public? The law of the jungle reigns supreme in the country today. The government's incompetence has inadvertently paved the way for the underworld to take over power.
මේ පාතාලයේ රජ කරවන්නට අවශ්‍ය පරිසරය ඉබේම රජයේ නොහැකියාව තුල නිර්මාණය වෙලා තිබේ.
Meanwhile, leader of the Sarvajana Balaya parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira claims that the murder of Waligama Pradesh Sabha chairman should be considered a political assassination. Speaking at a meeting in Suryavava today, Jayavira asserts that the government's repressive and fear-mongering actions will only serve as an impetus to the Sarvajana Balaya political movement.
The Andhra Division Sarvajana Sabha was set up today under the patronage of Sarvajana Balaya leader and parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira.
තමන්ගේ මතය නොවන වෙනත් ඕනෑම මතයක් දරන මිනිස්සුયો.
There were two groups who believed all dissenting opinions must be eradicated. One is the JVP, which currently wields state power. The other was the now defeated LTTE. Today, the same issue has resurfaced. A colossal challenge confronts our democratic exchange of ideas and opinions. The chairman of the Waligama Pradesh Sabha was brutally murdered at his office. Then they started to call him by his alias Midigama Lassa. The murder of someone who sits at the chairman's desk must be considered a political assassination. The minister categorized the chairman to be an underworld operative, alleging certain links to organized crime. That is not democratic at all. If he was in fact an underworld operative, he could have been prosecuted and incarcerated. He might have allegations against him. The JVP's thought leader Tilvin Silva was once behind bars himself. The JVP, which attacked the police twice, is in fact an underworld gang. They used homemade firearms in 1971 to launch attacks against decent civilians. They shot down anyone who disagreed with their political opinions. We want to make it clear to the government that such acts of repression cannot stop our politics. We will not step back. Instead, such fear-mongering and repression will only serve as an impetus in our journey. Would a foreigner visit Waligama when its Pradesha Sabha chairman is gunned down? This is the truth.
Meanwhile, the Sarvajana Sabha of the Hatporo division in Suryawawa was also set up today under the patronage of party leader parliamentarian Dirit Javira.
Our interrogations of underworld operative Bako Saman revealed that a former chairman of the Road Passenger Transport Authority of the Uva province has been soliciting a bribe of 350,000 rupees every month in exchange for a route permit to operate along the Colombo-Monragala route, a high-end bus owned by Bako Saman. In the meantime, the police were able to arrest an individual engaged in smuggling narcotics into the island and to also seize a consignment of 10 kilograms of Kerala cannabis consequently.
Underworld operative Bako Saman, who was arrested along with the notorious Kehal Badarapadme, is currently detained and being interrogated by the Western Province North Crime Division. So far, the Western Province North Crime Division has been able to uncover 2 luxury buses valued at over 80 million rupees through successful questioning. During interrogations, Bako Saman had revealed that a former chairman of the Road Passenger Transport Authority of the Uva province had been soliciting a bribe of 350,000 rupees every month in exchange for a route permit to operate one of the said buses along the Colombo-Monragala route. The former chairman in question had instructed Bako Saman to operate the bus on the Colombo-Monragala route even after the permit in question expired in March 2025. The chairman had guaranteed his interference to resolve any issues stemming from the expiration of the route permit. Bako Saman had also revealed that since his arrest, his brother-in-law has been making the payments, adding that last month's bribe was also credited to the account of the former chairman of the Road Passenger Transport Authority of the Uva province. It was also revealed that payments were made to the former chairman even after his removal from the position as an act of gratitude. The former chairman of the Road Passenger Transport Authority of the Uva province has been instructed to appear at the Western Province North Crime Division to provide a statement. In a separate development, the individual named Anandan, who is believed to have aided Ishara Sewande in fleeing to India by boat, revealed information pertaining to another individual engaged in smuggling narcotics into the island. The suspect was promptly arrested by the Colombo Crime Division yesterday. Over 10 kilograms of Kerala cannabis was also seized at the time of the arrest. Police revealed that the consignment of Kerala cannabis had been stored in an underground bunker at a coconut estate, adding that the suspect is a resident of Kilinochchi. Further investigations are underway to probe if the suspect trafficked organized criminals evading arrest in Sri Lanka to India through the same route that he employs to smuggle narcotics. A 7-day detention order was obtained by the authorities to detain and question the suspect.
Welcome back. Now, a Gazette notification was issued stipulating regulations for the release of vehicles held by Sri Lanka Customs. The Gazette Extraordinary was issued with the signature of the President Andrakumara Dissanayake, as Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development effective from yesterday. Although permission was granted for the import of vehicles since February this year, more than 1,000 vehicles were imported on cross-border LCs, allegedly in violation of Import-Export Regulations Gazette No. 2 of 2013, and were not released by Customs at the Hambantota port. According to this new Gazette notification, permission to release from the port is granted to nearly 1,000 vehicles that are subject to cross-border LCs opened in a country other than the country of import. Accordingly, a number of conditions related to the release of these vehicles have been presented and in the issued Gazette notification during the release on the registration of vehicles. Welcome back. Now in your business news, Sri Lankan Airlines has issued a clarification regarding its financial performance for the 2024-25 financial year, reporting a group loss of a whopping 2.73 billion rupees compared to a profit of 7.92 billion rupees recorded in 2023-24. The airline attributed the variance primarily to reduced exchange gain, which declined to 3.92 billion rupees in 2024-25 from 26.71 billion rupees in the previous year. The exchange gain arises from the revaluation of foreign currency denominated interest-bearing liabilities, with an appreciation of the rupee contributing to the gain. Excluding the exchange gain, the group's underlying loss for the 2024-25 financial year amounted to 6.66 billion rupees compared to a loss of 18.79 billion rupees in the 2023-24 financial year prior to accounting for the exchange gain. The 2025 Asian Youth Games is taking place in Bahrain from the 22nd to the 31st of October. So far, Sri Lanka has clinched a gold medal and 3 bronze medals, securing the 14th place in the medal tally. On the third day of the tournament yesterday, Sri Lanka's Shanuka Costa secured the bronze medal in the boys' 400-meter event, finishing the race in 47.7 seconds. Meanwhile, Chaturanga Dulanjana clinched the bronze medal in the boys' javelin throw event with a distance of 62.5 meters. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.